Okay, what about now? Can you hear me now? Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so as I was saying, when my audio wasn't on, I am trying to get the other live streams set up because I actually can't remember how to do this. I just did it 2 weeks ago. I don't remember how. So as I'm doing that, please send your questions in the chat. Hello, Rachel. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you? And I also, if at any point you can't hear me, just tell me again because there's like a lag in the screens. Yeah, the whole thing is just new. It's just new for me. Oh, did I say I just woke up from a nap? I just woke up from a nap. I woke up from a nap after I was supposed to be logged on. So it's perfect. Okay. Oh, good. I am actually on. Hold on. Am I? That's so funny. Dang. Okay. I think I'm actually streaming on everywhere I want it to be. Um, hmm. My God, Zoom is asking me to upgrade my membership so that I could Stream to Substack. I don't need to stream to Substack. I just think it's funny. I've never seen someone do a live stream on Substack, and I think that that would be funny. Um, but it's like, what, an extra $500 a year? Good God, why? Freaking, they really got a monopoly. I just want to pay for it monthly. Oh my God. It's not letting me pay monthly for the love. Okay, I guess I won't do Substack right now. Maybe another time. I did try to live stream on LinkedIn, but you actually can't live stream on LinkedIn, which honestly, feels like a huge oversight on their behalf. Okay, send me your questions. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Mhm. Awaka sauce. Tell us about these upgrades we got going on. I know I'm zoomed in. It's because I'm using my cell phone, the front camera, because it's like better quality. Maybe here I'll like push, but I can't zoom it out. Y'all, I am at the risk of sounding like a freaking elder millennial, which I think I probably technically am. I feel like even most elder millennials have tech going on better than me. All right, I'm ready. Waka Sauce, have we had a session together or something? I can't see. I just see your username and yeah, just curious. Okay. Okay, good. Let's see. Uh, mm, Shifts going on. Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to tune in. Like I said, I literally just woke up from a nap, uh, which I expected to be more refreshing than it was. Let's see. Oh, okay. So, hello, crosswords and pen. Thank you. Um, okay, that makes sense. Oh, good. All right. So I am tapped in. That's good. So Awaka sauce, maybe you'll tell me what your name is, but so the thing, so you asked something to the effect of tell us about the upgrades going on. Um, I'll preface this by saying I don't consume very much spiritual content. If anything, actually, I've been learning tarot. And by learning, I mean I just like pull my cards and then I talk to my guides and then I pull up YouTube. You know what? I think I'm gonna tangent here. So I pull up YouTube and there's somebody who recorded, it's like 4.5 hours of tarot, literally 4.5 hours. She goes through every single card, upright and reverse. So by the way, that's like playing all the time in my life. Like I just have that on in the background. With ADHD, there's something I used to call it co-coping because I didn't know that there was a term for it, but there's something that you can do, and I didn't know I had ADHD. So I figured this out before knowing I had ADHD, but you can like hello brave never broken. Yeah, 10-year tarot card reader. Yeah. Yeah, I'm super tangential right now. I don't know. I guess I don't care. I just am going to go for it. Yeah, so God, what was I saying about that? The tarot, the oh my God. I literally don't remember. The YouTube, yeah, I'll put her in here. Anyway, so I've been like teaching myself tarot and then also teaching myself, I'm not even teaching myself, but I've been learning about Hellenistic astrology, which is apparently different than modern astrology, but it's funny because Hellenistic astrologers, some of them that I listen to, they literally hate modern astrology, and I don't know why I think that's funny, but I do. So I don't consume very much like spiritual content. I I guess I guess I don't really consider astrology and tarot spiritual. I guess it is kind of, it's more like those are tools as opposed to, so the information that I get when I'm channeling, by the way, is literally just me. It's not coming, I don't have any other context. Okay, let's see. Brave Not Broken is reminding us talking about not being a spiritual stuff, but learning tarot. Okay, yeah. And then Jay Pally says there are only one type of tarot or are there numerous? I literally don't know. Okay, so oh, I was talking about co-coping. Yeah, so there's something in AD I have to finish this or it'll drive me crazy. There's something in ADHD. Hi, Zach. What's up? Oh, hey, Alex. Oh, that's so funny. Do you guys remember each other? Did you guys ever work together? Also, is my face still cut off? Um, um, maybe. I guess maybe I don't care. Okay, so there's something with ADHD where, like, for me, if I have something playing in the background, like a podcast or a YouTube, it literally helps me complete other things in my life because it feels like there's somebody with and around me. So it helps me like stay on task. Okay, so astrology, or no, it's like the tarot. Yeah, you know what? I'll put it in the chat before the end of this. This like tarot person who has like 4.5 freaking hours of her describing every single tarot card. Okay, so the original question. Here we go. Tell us about the upgrade. So what came through pretty much um I yeah, it was about a year ago. September of last year. Yeah, September of last year, I literally paid for a demon exorcist, by the way, only to find I think that this camera is actually farther away from my face. I paid for a demon exorcist only to realize that actually I hadn't exorcised a demon. All that I had done was sort of like make myself I had just I made myself more aware of like basically one of my shadow aspects, okay? But at that time, I thought that I had like cleared myself of a demon. I hadn't cleared myself of a demon, but like for I do have this like shadow thing that I've been like working to essentially like extract from my body for I guess they're saying for a long they're saying a millennia, which I recognize would make me like a vampire. So it's not quite like that, but you get it. So at that time though, I remember having this really profound experience of feeling like after this supposed demon exorcist that I paid for. Yeah, I felt like I felt like muffin batter without a muffin tin in a good way. Like I felt like I didn't, I just, I realized like in a very visceral sense that so many of my choices and the way choices life, the things I was doing were, it's like there was a mold or a template for like how Highland, there's like a mold or a template for like how like a muffin tin, how there's like, you put the batter in the different tins and then it grows into that, grows, whatever. It becomes that. Um, I felt like the molds were gone and I was just like, I didn't have a template. Like it literally felt like an overwhelming amount of freedom because I feel like I cleared all of this like I feel like I didn't clear it all, by the way. I did clear some of it, something, but I felt like I cleared I guess I did clear more than I thought because they're showing me, but I cleared this and I just realized like so much of my life was just patterns. It wasn't free will, basically. Like just I don't even know how else to describe that. And I also remember having this like vision at the same time where it's like I was looking out at a horizon, like in the scene of Lion King where what's the father? Mufasa? The father lion that dies? He's, like, looking out at the horizon with Simba, and he's like, "All of this will be yours," and it's, like, as far as the eye can see. That's what was happening in my brain, is I could, like, see there was no obstacles, there was no barriers. It was like, look at all of like, where are you gonna go? Because you could literally do anything right now. There's no template that you have to follow, you know? There's no there's not a cookie cutter. There's not like a thing you have to do. Um, have to as in like, repetition compulsion, like continuing to do. The reason I bring this up is because, like, so the original question was, what tell us about the what did you say? The uploads? Tell us about the uploads that are happening. So the thing I got, yeah, they're saying spearhead. Okay, so they're telling me, so I'm getting that vision again of like Simba and Mufasa looking out at the horizon, and there it's literally as far as the eye can see. But okay, yeah. So what they're showing me is it looks like an Apple store in the way that like Apple stores are like completely white. That's really funny. Oh, because they're saying that that all of reality is like a blank it's like a it's like a blank screen of which we can project. It's a blank the external world really is just like a blank surface that we project our inner world out onto, but they're showing me that like our inner world is a combination. It's like a cassette tape is what they're showing me. If you guys remember that, I was born in '94, so their tapes were still a thing, and you had to like to change to reverse them, whatever. You had to like put your finger in and like twist the little gear. Anyway, so they're showing me that like our internal worlds are made, there's no separation between our internal world and our external reality, which makes sense. But I'm just seeing it on like a very profound level. So for like the shifts that you were asking about, it's weird because I'm seeing like 2 different timelines or like multiple different timelines, and one of the timelines is it's what I did. One of the timelines is akin to what I did, which was like a clearing out, there's a shadow, you know, inner child, demon, whatever you wanna call it, uh, and, clearing it out. For me, though, I will say it's out. It's strange though because it's, like, still in my it's literally when in my auric field, this thing shows up like right here. Like I've woken up in the middle of the night to a figure standing above me right here. And I know what it is at this point because it's just a part of me. So I don't like freak out about it. Anyway, so one option for like the upgrades coming in, yeah, they're saying it's like an upgrade either way. So you can kind of do like the like clearing out of all the crap, and then you're just sort of left with an empty, almost blank slate before you decide what you're gonna fill it back in with. Or you could stay in the 3D because they're showing me too, and this makes sense, that there's like different some people's capacity or their some people okay, this is something that is like fairly controversial, but I see it repeatedly. We do not all have the same level of free will. There are people on the planet that don't have very much free will. And what that means, what they've shown me is like instead of having free will, they have what I call scripts, which is just this it's like a template. It's like you have to do the same things over and over and it's already like written out for you and those people like if you don't have very much free will you actually can't choose a different route. It's super bizarre. but I see it fairly frequently, like, at least on a weekly basis in sessions with people, where, like, their family members or friends, like, they're just sort of they have a script and they may not have, like, as much free will. Yeah, consciousness capacity. So some people there is, like, a timeline shift, but they're showing me yeah, multiverse. They're showing me it's like an accordion. It's not just, like, 2 different routes. It's like if you took an accordion and every single one of those layers, as you opened it up, was like a new reality, that's what it looks like. It's actually, like, a pretty overwhelming, and so it basically depends on your level of consciousness capacity and where hold on. It depends on your level of consciousness capacity because so basically they're saying the 3rd dimension, if it's not already, the 3rd dimension is going to be or is already the lowest. Huh. We're like ascending to the point where the 3rd dimension is the densest reality. Oh, okay. That's kind of good, I think. Because 2D entities are real, by the way. Um, yeah. They're showing me 2D entities are real. I just did like a subscriber Q&A, and one of the questions was about dreams. And that came up in there too, is that like sometimes like in our dreams or nightmares, sometimes like some of those beings are literal entities that like we see in our dreams. Um, okay, so I don't actually know if okay, good. I'm glad that Awaka saw perfect timing. This has been great additional confirmation on your end. Okay, good. 'Cause I feel like that was super rambly. Basically, it's up to you, but you can clear it, and they're showing me that, like, they're just showing me different it's what you've contracted for, but we've all sort of it's like a flow chart. Like, you have free will well, we all have free will just to varying degrees, but if you're a conscious being, you have a lot of free will. The hope is that you use that free will to, like, become the most, conscious as possible. Man, I don't think that made any sense. I think that it's the best I got, though. I'm gonna scroll all the way back up. Um, let's see. Okay, perfect. Oh, actually, I'm gonna exactly. Okay, perfect. Rachel says it's like they're trapped in their script. No, literally, I've seen it before where sometimes even after people can I say die on here? Am I gonna get kicked off of Instagram? Even people who pass on to the other side, we don't magically become, like, more self-aware. We don't sometimes we do, but I've seen it multiple times where, some people don't. Like, they're on the other side, and they're just as much of a bully to their living loved one as they were on this side. Like, free will it doesn't necessarily expand when you're no longer living, and living is in, like, a physical body. It's super interesting. So, yeah, they're trapped in a script, and I've also seen people where, like, when they're faced with, like, say they have a loved one I've seen this with parents. Like, I've seen parents where they don't have very much free will. Say, for instance, their child is like a grown adult in a session with me, and their grown adult child is like, I'm trying to like grow as a person and like get this person to come with me. What's going on? But I can see that their loved one, their parent, it's like every time this more conscious individual tries to pull them off the script, it's like their brain like frizzes out. It's like an electrical, like, I don't even know what to it's like it, like, freaks out, and they're like, they can't do it. Like, they can't do it, and it ends up just being really frustrating for them. So, as a PSA, if you ever have felt like, "Oh my god, I feel like my mom, I don't know." That's the one I see most often. That's probably because that's my situation. So, what happens is people are usually attracted to other people that have similar issues. Yeah, so say for instance, your mother, if you're like, I feel like she just doesn't get it. Yeah, she might literally not get it. And she literally may not have the capacity to get it. She And there's also they're showing me like it's habitual, like it's muscle memory. Like sometimes, yeah, that's shitty. That's really shitty, actually. Sometimes people that like want to go off script, it's like even more difficult for them to do so because they've spent so many lifetimes just going down the same road of thinking. Um, I call it repetition compulsion, which is like a real psychology term. It's usually used like adjacent to conversations around attachment theory, but I think that I've seen it in reincarnation over and over is repetition compulsion. We have this compulsion to repeat the things we've done in past lives or co-occurring lives, depending upon how you think about time. Um, always, always. It's actually one of the most challenging things I think I've ever seen is people trying to break out of their habitual multi-lifetime habits. Reactions, really. Okay, so going back up. Sweet D says, do you do past life readings? This is so interesting. Thank you. I'm glad that was interesting. I hope you're still here because that was such a tangent, and I'm glad that some of that made sense. I do past life readings. I do, yeah, I pretty much, you name it, I've probably done it at this point. Yeah, I do past life readings. On my website, I do one-to-one sessions. I also have like packages and monthly subscriptions as well. Mind you, everything that I offer has really been because somebody has asked, because there's been a demand for it, by the way. I was looking at my page and I was like, damn, this is getting a little out of hand. But it's like I just I'm really grateful because I just get asked by people, clients, like, hey, can you do this? Or like, is it possible for you to I literally just created a way for me to do a three-way phone call. So me, and then a client, and then ideally like their sibling, another person close to them. So it's like a three-way Zoom call. So then I could do a soul contract reading, like between the two of them, because I was asked literally on Monday of this week from by a client, like, hey, can you do that? And I was like, I literally don't know, but I can. Like, my abilities allow me to do it. And so I set that up logistically on my site as well. So yes, I do past life readings. Yeah. Yes, block removed. Okay, going back up. Yeah, the demon energy was it's a multi-lifetime experience. It's like my male counterpart. Like y'all, I am diagnosed autistic in this life, but I'm also a little sociopathic, particularly past life. This like demon thing I'm talking about, it's actually me as a sociopath because I could see my own past lives, not all of them, but I saw one of them where I was so angry with the way that my life ended. I didn't know you could do this. I skipped my life review after I died and I just came right back down. Like I didn't go through a life review. I didn't like learn there's a thing where at the end of your life you hang out with you don't really hang out. It's kind of like a formal experience. It looks like a courthouse is what it looks like. And there's like a panel of other like high vibe entities or something and you have to like talk about like what you learned and if you completed your mission basically in one lifetime I was literally so angry about the way that my life had just ended that I skipped my life review. I didn't sign any contracts for like guides because you have to sign contracts for to have guides and to have like a life partner and to have children, like those are all contracted. I did none of that. I literally was so fucking pissed off. They're showing me right now what I did. Yeah, I died. I went up. I found one of the closest bodies I could find because there was a specific part of the world I wanted to be born into. I found one of the closest bodies I could like to that geography, and I just came right back down. And in that life, I was 100% a psychopath slash more of a sociopath, to be honest. Sociopath is because like how I see psychopath versus sociopath as different is sociopaths have the ability to go off script, whereas psychopaths, they don't really have that option. They don't have as much free will. They can't quite see outside of the script. This is what I've seen energetically. Whereas like a sociopath, it's like they have the conscious awareness of what would be like the higher vibe choice, and they literally choose to do the lower vibe choice. Okay, so that was me in this past lifetime, and like I'm still, I had no I had no guides. Um, it was really, I mean, yeah, I was a sociopath and I'm still dealing with the repercussions of that. I think that I also had the gifts I have now back then. I actually know that I did. And I know that I did not, yeah, yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I was just fucking pissed off though. So, okay. Uh, Arrow. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, Brave Never Broken says that they're curious if anyone else got some sort of weird ace sin virus in the last week. Maybe it was only in Asheville, North Carolina. I do not know what that is, but then you clarify down here. Ace sin virus. Oh, ascension sickness. I see what you're saying. Oh, I see what you're saying. I have just been sort of exhausted, but that's just because like my life has slowed down enough where I'm allowed to be exhausted basically. So maybe that's the same thing. Okay, aliens. Yeah, people want to know about the aliens. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there, yes, the answer is yes. Um, Interesting. Okay, so I've talked about the grid before. There's like a grid that runs along the planet. They're showing me it's sort of like the latitude, longitude lines, but they're showing me that there's um that would make sense. Interesting. So whose idea was that? Okay. They're showing me that there, so by aliens right now, what I'm viewing is like aliens, they're calling them grays, which I think is like what we think of when we think about aliens. But they're saying of a higher caliber. So they're like they're calling themselves the cream of the cream, which is kind of funny. They're not being stuck up. That they're just, yeah. Okay, so what about that though? They're fucking tall. They're really tall. They've got to be like, damn, that's crazy. They're like 7 to 12 feet tall, and they can like, I keep seeing them become invisible, which is interesting. But so with this grid, yeah, they keep saying grid workers and light workers. So what is they're calling themselves like the keepers of, not the keepers, they're sort of like the regulators. Like they're keeping tabs on the planet. They're saying that Earth is, they're comparing themselves to like the scientists that are watching over an experiment, but they're saying that this is like a, and making sure that we don't blow ourselves up, basically. Yeah, so they're showing me, so why I bring up the grid is they're showing me that this grid, that there's portals of what, I'm not sure, but there's, okay, they're calling them entrances to other dimensions. That's funny. They got annoyed with me for saying that because 'cause they're like, "Yes, you do." Okay, well, so there's portals at some of these, like, intersections, kind of like the chakra. Actually, it probably yeah, literally they're saying it's literally exactly the same as the chakra system in our body, which are like the meridians, because the a chakra isn't just like a ball of light, you know? It's like it is, but it's, like, made up by, like, a crossing of meridians, and they're saying it's the same. Yeah, they're saying, like, "Where do you think" Yeah, they're saying, "Where do you think we got that idea from, that your bodies would be the same way?" Yeah, good point. So they're also showing me too, though, that, like, our chakras are portals. Wow, yeah, that makes sense. Damn, that's crazy. So, like, in these portals throughout the planet, they're showing me that they've worked with I'm seeing specifically Teddy Roosevelt, okay, and other presidents, but they're showing me, like, people in yeah, other world leaders, people in authority, basically. They've worked with world leaders, to implement monuments, basically, like, at the site of a lot of these portals, and the reasons why they did that is because, like, it's to attract people to the portals to because they're showing me that a lot of people on the planet have contracted to be what they're calling them grid workers. They're calling them miners, like with a pick and an axe, like in the earth, like miners, not like a child miner. But they're grid workers, but they're subconsciously grid workers. They're calling them sleeper agents, which I've seen this term a lot as well, sleeper agent. So there's these like sleeper agents, and they don't know that's so funny. They're telling me that a lot of, people, like autistic people and our special interests, those are things we've contracted to be interested in because like, by paying attention to that thing, it actually brings a higher vibe awareness to it and, like, not just opens the portal because you don't just want it open willy-nilly. You want it, like it's like a white light open as opposed to, like, a dark night of the soul open. So they're showing me that they've, like these aliens, these grays, have worked with world leaders across time. Like they're literally showing me across time. Like I'm seeing all the way back in Egypt. Yeah, they're saying that that's part of what the pyramids are, and they're showing me like the Washington Monument. They're saying that there's other ones in parts of the world. They're showing me like somewhere in a rainforest that I can't really see. And that's the point. Is there like some of these you can't see, but we've like erected not in a way to like destroy the planet because the Greys really care about the planet, obviously. It's like they're calling it their baby. It's their it's like their love child. Uh yeah, but there's even some like in the ocean, these portals, interesting. So they've like contracted with world leaders to put monuments in grid intersections, portals, so that sleeper agents would be attracted to go there and then go. And there's something about just literally being there and yeah, oh, they're showing me that it like syncs up with our chakra system. Interesting. They're telling me that that's why some people get sick when they travel is actually because their body is like trying to clear I was talking about, like, my sociopathic past life demon self that I'm trying to clear. They're saying that, like, these sleeper agents I keep seeing somebody walking around with, like, a camera around his neck, like, looking like a dweeb. He's a sleeper agent, apparently, but he's, like, going to I think to I don't know what monument it is, but, like, on the way, they're showing me this person and others, like, you may get really sick when you're traveling, and it's because your body is trying to purge itself of, like, your own shadow energy so that it's, like, ready to be energetically, like so when it energetically syncs up with this other portal, which is on the grid system, so it's, like, the portal of the grid system and then the portals in your chakra system, when you sync up, it's like you're only bringing your highest level of consciousness as possible to they're calling it clean energy. They're making the comparison of like crude oil versus clean energy. That's so funny. So if you ever get sick when traveling, it may be because you're trying to clear out your demons literally before before syncing up with the Washington Monument to increase the consciousness of the planet. Man, they hated that I just got facetious there. They did not like that. Sorry. Okay. They're like they're annoyed with me because they're like, this is very fucking serious. We don't know why you're making a joke of this. Sorry. They forget that as a human, saying these things are pretty, they're like, it's actually not a bizarre thing to say. They're saying it's a cultural issue. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. They're saying that what I'm saying isn't crazy, but it's that it's been vilified by those who want to continue to remain being in control, which I've seen that a few times too. That makes sense. That's fucking tracking. Okay, that was a lot. Let me scroll down and see what's happening. Yeah, so national parks are literally magic. They're literally portals. Um, that's also why people feel really good when they go to some of these locations. Oh, they're also saying, do you want me to say? Yeah, they're saying, they're just giving me other locations like Sedona, Yosemite, which is a national park. Um, they're showing me a bunch of locations, but those are the only. They're saying there's a portal in Gaza, and that's actually like part of like why there's a war there is because it's like there's something, it's political, but it's not. I mean, it is, but it's like it's spiritual more than it is political, which are really the same thing. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Okay. Let me. Could Mayan temples be portals? When I visit some of those, you feel the energy around. Um, yes. They're showing me too, though. It's also that specifically is a place for people of that descent to, let me see how to explain this because how do I explain that? Family lineage. So basically, like sometimes we're not always born. Sometimes we're born into different geographies than where we've been in past lives or in other lives. And so thereby we're of a different ethnicity or of a different race. So what they're showing me is like the Mayan temples are also, they're calling it a home safe. It's like they're calling it a beacon. So it's all those are specifically also a beacon for people of Mayan descent that are not genetically of Mayan descent. Does that make sense? Because it's like you're so, and I've seen this in my own lineage where it's like you don't always come in as you don't necessarily come back in the same ethnicity as these other lives. So they're saying it's like a beacon. So yeah, they're saying that if you ever feel like a really deep connection to sometimes even language, like a language, culture. I've had some client sessions like this too, where they've like come to sessions and they're like, I just feel the really deep connection to this location. And I could see pretty much instantly, like, yeah, it's because you were of that demographic. Interestingly though, I've also seen people, but sometimes people like, man, how do I want to frame that? So the other thing that I see sometimes is we can actually grow a custom and grow like an affinity towards cultures and that captured and enslaved us or at least like captured us. I've seen this a couple of times where people, it's so bizarre. The number of times I've seen this is like very strange to me because it's so specific, but basically like in past lives I've seen people who were born This is a good example. There's somebody who was in this life, she was from, I believe, Central America or South America in this life, but she was living on an island outside of Spain. And I knew because we'd emailed back and forth about like time zone scheduling issues. So I knew that she was from Central or South America, but I did not know that she was living on this island outside of Spain. So during my reading with her, what came through was like, yeah, that she, in this life that I was picking up on, she had at that time also, she'd been from the same country or the same region as she was in this life. But then in that life, she'd been captured. Yeah. There's a couple of historical events that like really rocked our shit, for lack of better terms, by the way. So, and one of those was they say that conquistadors, so basically like the Spanish something, the Spanish coming to the Americas, that comes up in readings, past life readings all the time as like it was really freaking disruptive. Anyway, so she was like captured by them and brought back to Spain in this past life. Mind you, as I'm telling her this, I did not know that she was living in Spain. She could have told me, but she didn't. And so as I'm telling her this, I was like, yeah, you were kidnapped and then you ended up in Spain. But I literally said the name of the island and I've never heard of this island before. So I was like kind of like stuttering around with my words because I'd never heard of it before. And she was like, she's like, I'm on that island right now. Like I live there right now. Isn't that wild? So, and she's like, I've always loved this island. I've always loved this island off of Spain. But that was the island that in this past life she had been kidnapped and brought to. So even in this life, when it's just so wild to me that like she had this deep affinity for this place that she had been brought to against her will. But I've seen that multiple times in readings. I've seen it with the Vikings. I've seen it multiple times where like people in this life will return to places where they've been kidnapped in past lives and brought to in past lives. It's super bizarre. Oh, so strange. Okay, let me see. um okay, what is next for those of us in the USA? Brighter days? They're showing me a Holiday Inn. So they're like, it depends on your perspective. What about that? They're saying something about travel. I think so. I just keep seeing somebody on vacation and I'm not sure why, but they keep showing me like a Holiday Inn, a Days Inn. They're showing me all these like hotels. Why are you showing me that? But they're also kind of saying like it depends on your perspective because yeah, they're saying like glass half empty or glass half full because they're saying like for some people staying at a Holiday Inn or like one of those those are probably like what two-star hotels or something. Yeah, they're saying for some people staying in one of those places, they're like nitpicky and they're grossed out by every little thing. They're like grossed out by the bedding, they're grossed out by the carpet, they're like cranky about the noise they hear from the people next door to them. So it's like it could be a holiday, but they're just like half glass empty. Like they're just focusing on all the things. Yeah, they're showing me all these things. Like the continental breakfast isn't up to their standards, so on and so forth. So like, but then they're showing me that like in the exact same time, say in the room across the hallway, it's a different person with like a completely different sunny outlook on. Yeah, it's like the sun is shining because it's the same weather, it's the same hotel, but it's like someone it depends on your perspective. Yeah, that makes sense. They're saying we're all staying in the same hotel, but your level of enjoyment and your architecture of the experience is completely dependent upon your frame of mind. Yeah, that makes sense. That's funny. They're telling me to bring my noise canceling earbuds because I get like pretty overstimulated. I wear these noise canceling headphones pretty much 24/7. Like these are one of the best investments I've ever spent money on because I just get really overstimulated. I didn't really notice this, but I get really overstimulated by noise outside of my brain because then I can't hear the noise inside my brain. So they're telling me they're just being kind of funny. Like they recognize that I can get kind of crotchety if I'm overstimulated. So they're saying prepare for sensory overwhelm. Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, self-accommodations. Oh, okay. Okay, I do want to put that. I do want to grab the. Hold on, I'm gonna get on my YouTube to put that 4 hour long tarot in here. I think I have it on a playlist. Just a second. View. Okay. Mm, no, I don't. Okay. You know what? I will post that on my story later for those of you that want to watch 4 hours of tarot. Actually, you know what? I think that. Oh, damn it. No. Okay, never mind. There's not like an easy way for me to get to it right now. Yeah, I'll put it on my story later. Okay. I'm just looking at the other chats. Also, I haven't looked at my Zoom in a while. Okay. Okay, what have I missed? Where am I? Rachel says that she tries to love her mother into her creativity and novelty. Good for you. Um, Good for you. That's adorable. Oh, mother here too. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I know as in like that's it. I regularly I think I would not be surprised if because right now the majority of what I do things, I guess, what I because work is technically work, but you get it is individual sessions basically. But I do think that at some point I'm somehow gonna be I think that part of my life work will be more of like how to help people untether from karmic relationships that they're ready to release. Um, because it comes up a lot. It comes up a lot. And specific now that I'm not saying you two specifically are trying to get rid of your mothers, but yeah, but I do have people book with me kind of frequently where like that's the thing that they're trying to do. Um, okay. Yeah, I do create special requests are so much fun, but you create a new service each time. A light, aligning light Reiki. Okay. I am not sure if you're saying that that person creates a new service every time, but yeah, I do create a lot of new services. Okay, let's see. Are they coming to you from the past for help or just to Jimmy or vibe? I think you're probably talking about my demon self. No, they need help. They're stuck. So I'm like trying to figure out how to help me slash them. I'm trying to help we. Funny. Okay. Is the grid like the firmament? Firmament. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is, I'm sorry. Firmament. Maybe tell me if you're still here what firmament is as I work through okay. Yeah, they're trying to say cream of the crop is in the best. Yeah. Um oh yeah, you asked again. Yeah, tell me what firmament is, and then I'll try to answer that. That Nikola Tesla brought up. Firmament. I don't know. I need a little bit more context because I'm not sure. Is the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah a portal? They're saying yes, but they're saying it's like they're calling it a sludge pit. They're saying there's a reason why there's not a monument there. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't go there. I do know what this is, by the way, because I used to listen to, I haven't in a long time for no reason, but Aaron Mahnke's podcast. Is he still doing that? He was doing he would just talk about the creepiest things, but he had such a like soft intellectualism about it that it could like it was very comforting to listen to some very spooky things. Anyways, he talked about the skin rancher, the Skinwalker Ranch. So I do know what you're referencing. Yeah, I don't like that. It's not good. Yeah, they're calling them hybrids. Yeah, they're I'm saying that yeah, I wouldn't hang out there. I wouldn't go there. Probably everything you've heard about that place is real. They're showing me, I'm seeing somebody like come up out of it. They sort of are like, it's like a human hybrid bat. Like their wings are, um, their wings aren't really wings, they're just bone. It's a lot of hybrid creatures coming up out of the earth there. Like I'm literally seeing it's kind of like sludge, like quicksand, but it's sludge like coming out of the earth. They're also showing me cows specifically. They're saying that the cows are placeholders. Okay, so that's really funny. Okay. So they're saying that I think that the grays that I was talking about earlier, it looks like they put cows there. These cows apparently at the Skinwalker Ranch literally have, I didn't know that cows could have cows could have contracts, but they do kind of. They're saying it's not as intense as a contract, but they are like there because they're placeholders or pillars, which is basically to say that they like hold the energy and they slowly are bringing it up. They're saying they're transmuting. Oh, interesting. They're showing me that because cows have like seven stomachs or something crazy like that, that they can alchemize really dense energy. And so that's why the cows are there, is because they're showing me literally their farts, like their methane farts, as like they're alchemizing this like really dense sludge energy from the earth, but they're able to do it because they have so many freaking stomachs and then they just fart it out. Um, and their energy is like so they're calling it Taurus energy, which I think is to say like very like heavy, but not in like a dense way, just like very soft earth. Yeah, there we go. Very, thank you. Very like earthbound energy. And so they don't get like caught up in the negative energy over there at the Skinwalker Ranch. So they're really great holders. They're also showing me the Greys or somebody. It's not just the Greys. There's like some other galactic beings that were doing some work on the Skinwalker Ranch because they're showing me that it was like spreading. It was like a that it was like spreading, and so they were like, "We have to, we want that to stop." So they were putting, but they recognize that like humans, we have so much volatility in our energy that they were like, "We can't put a bunch of humans here because, oh no, my phone's gonna die. We can't put a bunch of humans here because they'll dip in their vibration." Generally, most of us do, by the way, tend to dip in our vibration when we're put in low vibe situations or whatever geography. So they were like experimenting with different plants They're saying flora and fauna. They're exploring, yeah. So, but a lot of them like couldn't handle it. They were showing me goats specifically. They tried to put a couple of goats on Skinwalker Ranch, and they're showing me that they died because goats couldn't like transmute the energy, and it just like killed them. Fascinating. Yeah, they're like laying on the ground with their tongue sticking out. That shouldn't be funny, except it is to me because I can see death is not very scary to anyone, really. Like on the other side, death is not scary at all. So to them, they're like, oh, damn, it didn't work. Like, oh, failed mission. Freaking, we'll try again. But they're not like upset about, that they died. I think some of those goats actually came back as cows. That's so funny. They're saying not quite. Uh, yeah, that's funny. Okay, thank you. Strange. I might have to get up and get my phone charger. We'll see what I end up doing here. Okay, beloved Hellion says a lot of big historical places are a lot of monuments lined up with the firmament, like Tesla claimed. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll see. What else? Hold on. Let me go down and see if you talk about that more, because I'm sort of uh mm, 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 mm. Okay. Um Does the subcontinent of India, or particularly Varanasi, have special significance to the awakening of the humanity? They're showing me yes. They're showing me it's like glowing. They're showing me it's like glowing. Yeah, they're saying rising from the ashes. So what I'm seeing is like it's like a flame, but it's like glowing. Like it's probably a portal. They're saying it couldn't really be a portal because it's so bright. It's like blowing people's faces off, basically, which is interesting. It's a very, they're saying enlightening, but not in like a, not in like a Western understanding of the term, basically. But yes, so yes, it's a very enlightening place, but they're showing me that like right beneath this, is there water there? Like right beneath the surface is very dark and very dense. But that's exactly the point. It's like this that the light was able to rise, the phoenix rising from the ashes. The light was able to rise out of the dark. They're calling it the depths. Yeah, I'm literally seeing water like a bay or something, but it's like dark. Yeah, interesting. And it like they're calling it alchemized darkness, which is to say that I guess it's probably the equivalent of like integrating your shadow, where it's like it's still there, but it's like I don't really know how to integrate our shadows. So that's like an actual question that I have. Like, what does that even mean exactly? Well, how do you do that? I don't know what that means. But they're saying express it, but within while having rain over it. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, basically, so the answer is yes. Yeah, particularly this Varanasi place that you're asking about does have, it's a very bright, it's a very bright location. I can't quite call it a portal because they're saying that they can't, they're saying that it's like so high in consciousness that a lot of people couldn't withstand that level of consciousness, but that it's like they're saying passing the torch. So it's kind of like um yeah, it's increasing, it's increased the consciousness of the globe because it's set in it like it's a trailblazer basically in like in the level of consciousness. And that's how that works, by the way. Like, as individuals, the best thing that we can do for the people around us is actually to quite literally raise our own level of consciousness because then that paves the way for other people to be able to do the same without you even having to say anything to them. Yeah, I hope that that makes sense because it makes sense to me. Oh, Awakasaw says, I leave on Monday for a lot of countries. I'm probably gonna hit some portals and energy there. Yeah, probably. You're probably going to those countries because they're saying you're a seeker. Interesting. They're showing me that like, you may or may not know that I'm seeing you like literally taking notes in a notepad like this. Um, and yeah, okay, interesting. You have a connection. This is Awakasaw specifically. You have a connection to the Akashic records. That's so funny. They're calling you a data bank, basically. Yeah, they're making the comparison of you, the person, as like a local storage on a laptop desktop, and then it's like synced up to the cloud. So the cloud is like the Akashic record. Yeah, so you probably are drawn to a lot of vast experiences and people, and you could probably like withstand a lot of variety. Yeah, you literally eat it up is what they're showing me. And that's because like they're calling you a sightseer slash seeker. So you basically are like digital footprint. Yeah, so basically like your analog writings, and it may not be literal analog, they're calling it your digital footprint. That's so funny. Spirit has been really enjoying using these funny, like, tech buzz terms with me recently. But basically, like, yeah, where you are, where you go on the planet in like the 3D in a very physical way, that's the analog version. It literally goes straight, it syncs up to the cloud, which is the Akashic record. That's funny. I think I've seen one other person that's very similar to that. And prior to that, I didn't know that that was a potential. Okay, yeah. Also, definitely bring your noise canceling headphones. Maybe that's why they said that is because someone else was actually traveling and needed to remember because the Wakasas is traveling, needed to remember to bring their headphones. Okay, I have to grab a charger. Sorry, hold on. Okay, I hope that that keeps it going. Okay, Sweet D says, my friend has had horrible past 3 years with just blow after blow of bad news, bad news. Is there a such thing as cursing someone? Because at this point, it feels like a joke. Is there any way to tell if someone has cast darkness on them? Yeah, fascinating. The answer is yes, but the good news is the answer is yes. You can have a curse placed on you, and but once you identify that that's what it is, and do you have to know who it is? They're saying not really. You don't really have to know who cast it on you, but as soon as you recognize, they're calling it a foreign adversary, which is basically to say it's like as soon as you recognize that like the things happening to you are not of your own manifestations, that it's yeah, they're showing me it's like um huh, they're kind of showing me I never used one of these, but like the drunk cars. It's like a car stimulation where like you're trying to turn, but it won't let you. And there's like this weird or like bumper. Yeah, there's like this weird thing where like it doesn't feel like life is going the way that you're trying to steer it. Yeah, that could be a curse. So what they're showing for her to do specifically, probably for a lot of people this would work, but yeah, so I'm seeing a wand of selenite. I used to have one of these, by the way, but it was stolen. And it was in my car, and my car was stolen, not just the selenite. No one just stole my selenite bar. But someone did steal my car with my selenite in it, unfortunately. But I had this little bar of this little wand of selenite, and I would literally use it like a lint roller, like all over my body. And I'm telling you, it was a godsend. And I kept it in my car specifically because sometimes you're just out and about and you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm feeling, but I don't like it. I don't like it. And so I would just use it literally, and I would use it before going into my apartment so that I wasn't bringing whatever weird stuff into my apartment. I started doing this when I was working crisis services with like some very strange people and strange families. And I just was like, I feel like I'm picking up on people's energy and bringing it into my car and bringing it into my home. And I don't like it. So, yeah, get like a selenite wand and literally have her like use it over her body like a light wand, not just to clear it, but they're saying because that will like she'll be able to identify where it is. They're showing me like a beeping sound. They're showing me like at an airport when they have is this a thing like a wand or something and it'll start beeping? Yeah, they're saying it'll start beeping, not literally. Maybe she'll hear it depending upon like how she experiences her intuition, your friend. But yeah, they're saying that like to indicate where it is, they're saying that she doesn't even have to know who it came from, but that she'll know. She'll know because that person's face or voice will just come into her mind's eye and or that person will reach out almost immediately after this because they're saying to like they're calling it a cord, right? It's like a cord cutting. So if you can, she can. Yeah, this isn't just for your friend. This is for anybody who feels like they may have a curse on them. You could like feel where this cord is, like attached to your body. Like literally, you can feel it, and then just however you want to cut it, you could use. There's a lot of ways you could use like in your mind's eye, like scissors. I've taken literally like an axe to it wasn't a cord, it was like a whole fucking tree branch. It was like a root system. You could do that. Just be careful. You could use like fire, like a lighter or something, a torch. Yeah, so you don't have to know who it came from to cut it, but they're showing me that that'll like rebalance equilibrium basically immediately. And then they're also showing me, I've never seen this before, but I guess you can use like pepper, like regular like black pepper, like a table pepper, to like sprinkle around that part of your body. Because I've seen this before that like entities and things, curses, whatever, they attach to us through our body. Okay. So whoever came up with like dualism of separating our mind and our body, was probably paid off by the shadow government or something because that was like one of the most detrimental things we've ever done is like separate ourselves from our physical body in the name of spiritualism, by the way. So anyway, so she's like anyone really take pepper, like literally they've shown me this like 7 times now. Yeah, black pepper and just like sprinkle it around. So say for instance if this cord was attached at the left side of her neck, just sprinkle a little bit of pepper right there because they're showing me it becomes like an aversion to this entity. I have seen other they're saying it's pretty mild. Yeah, yeah, okay, that's good. As in like the curses can be kind of more mild than like an entity attachment. Because I've also gotten advice in the past of like how to kind of shoo some entities away is by using cayenne pepper, literally. And that worked, by the way. Like I was having a couple of days where like my sleep was wrecked and my energy was horrible. And I was eating like normal, exercising as normal. Nothing was really outside of my routine. And it was, I finally connected it to, I hadn't like, basically I'd like come into contact with something during a session, like a client session and I didn't think anything this is one thing I could be better at doing is like cleansing my energy after sessions because I just forget and just go about my life. But I came into contact with something during a session and I forgot about it. And they showed me, they're like, yeah, this thing has been gnawing on your shoulder for the last 3 days. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it fucking feels like, by the way. And so they were like, I normally use salt, like table salt, and that just wasn't working. It wasn't getting this thing away from me. And they were like, yeah, it's kind of it's like a leech at that point. It kind of suctioned itself to me. So they recommended cayenne, which I'd never used before. And I did that and it was just gone. And I swear I could hear it like screaming away from me. Isn't that bizarre? But yeah, and then so just as an FYI, you could also use cayenne. They're saying iron also works really well. I don't know in what form exactly, but that's good to know. Okay. Um, um, yes, thank you for, yeah, the cord cutting energy removal. Yes. Oh, okay. On the note of curses and spells, I feel a pull towards a partner. We're both poly with a deep, oh, okay, yeah. So I don't answer, hang on a second, let me see. Is there anything I can do to glean more on the lesson? I feel a pull towards a partner. We're both poly with a deep karmic past tie. Is there anything I can do to glean more on the lesson? Um, Confusion is the word that's coming up. Like, not just that I'm confused, but there's like, yeah, murkiness. They're telling you to play the piano, by the way. Keys? Yeah, something. Let me see. Let me just ask like a more broad question. So let me just ask like, is there anything that people can do to learn more about their karmic lessons while they're in their karmic lesson or while they're like presently experiencing the lesson? Yeah, no. They're saying one way, there's only one way out and it's through. There's like a meme a couple months ago. I can't remember where I saw this at, but it was like this man singing this child song of like the only way out is through. But that's what they're showing me. Yeah, and you they're showing me like a dark night of the soul. Specifically, it's like a train tunnel. They're saying you literally have to go through it. So you may not be able to like gain clarity on the lessons until you're out of the dark night of the soul, until you're literally out of the train tunnel. But they're saying to just keep going. Yeah, don't stop. They're like the worst thing you could do if you're going through a dark night of the soul is to stop. And that doesn't mean depression. That doesn't mean bypassing your depression and pretending like you're fine, because I know depression can be part of the dark night of the soul. It's more like, yeah, they're saying continue to take care of yourself. If you're on meds, keep taking your meds. If they're not working, go to a therapist or something like that. Like seek the help you know you need. And the family members, yeah, they're saying supports, seek external supports when you're going through a dark night of the soul. Because they're showing me one of the worst things you could do is like get caught in an echo chamber of your own thoughts. They're showing me that that's actually, this is not at all what I thought would come up. They're showing me that guy, Perez Hilton, that was like having like a mental health break. I haven't actually seen it, but I watch a lot of YouTube channels and there's like some people on YouTube talking about it. I don't even really know what happened, but regardless, they're telling me that that guy basically, Perez Hilton, he got caught in a windstorm of his own, like an echo chamber of his own thoughts. And they're saying that's the worst thing you could do. They're saying get a support animal if you're like, actually, they're saying pets are, they're saying if you're able to take care of an animal, that's not a bad idea when you're in the dark night of a soul, because it like forces you to get up, go for a walk, feed something that's not yours, make money so that you can. There's something about being responsible for something else that they're showing me is really helpful for when you're like going through it, and also to talk to, which is really cute. Okay. Hello, Romina. I can't see. There's not a timestamp on this chat, so hopefully this wasn't too long ago. Um, Seeker, yes. Yes. Look into the Akashic Record Awaka's house because I think that you'll resonate with it. Yeah, that's really adorable. Okay. The Ganges is there. Yes, the river. Okay, that's the India question I was talking about earlier. Don't sightsee in hell. Yeah, I guess not. I'm not sure what that is referencing, but yeah, probably not. Good. I'm glad that this is fun and you're getting lots of confirmations. Yeah. Um, let's see. Okay, so I'm going back up to address some of this. Yes, so for personal questions, like there's Cherokee Alvarado is asking about like a specific person. I don't do specific, how am I trying to explain this? I don't do like specific info about specific. This isn't a place for personal questions just because energetically it's a lot more taxing than just getting information, more general information. So yeah, if you have like a specific person that you want to communicate with, I definitely do that like in my one-to-one bookings. I'm also trying to find some other ways to make that accessible outside of my bookings, but for now that's like what I have. If you have like a more general question about like, I don't know, something on the other side or the transition between life and death, then yeah, I'm all ears. But yeah, not personal instances in this chat, just because it's like more energetically, it takes more of my energetic resources basically. Um yes, same with Sweet D for this thing about the friend. I could You're asking, is there a way for me to find out? Is there a way to find out that there's a darkness cast on them that you can free them of that? I mean, yeah, so doing the things that I recommended, they could figure it out. Yeah, if yeah, they could figure it out using like the selenite wand and stuff I was talking about. Yeah, okay, I think that that answers that. Let's see. Romina says she's asking when I say that they're showing me, do you actually see pictures? I literally, yeah, I both see, this is a great question. Yes, I literally see it as like a projector in front of my eyes. Which is why you'll see me kind of, it's very strange to rewatch videos of myself channeling because I don't remember what I've said. So I do rewatch and re-listen to them because it's literally like I'm hearing it for the first time, by the way, which is totally bizarre because I'll say something that I'm like, damn, that's freaking fascinating. I should write that down. And then I'm like, Misty, that's you. Like you said that. It's so bizarre to like hear words for the first time in your own voice, by the way. So yes, and that's why, so I do see they'll show, it's not just pictures. It's like full on. It's like happening in front of my freaking face. It's like a projection. It's like a hologram. So it's not as like I can tell that it's not the same as like somebody standing in the same room as me, but it's not that far off. Like it's a pretty good hologram of like whatever they're trying to show me. Um It's also, I've been meaning to make a YouTube video about this. I I now own a crystal ball. In fact, that's what I keep looking over at is it's over here. And the reason why I own this, there's a real reason why psychics have crystal balls. And I didn't understand it. I thought it was just like a silly trope or something because like why, I didn't know that there was a reason for it. But when I very first started doing individual sessions, very first being like 3 months ago, by the way, I was doing this thing that I do, whereas like I can project, like I can see this holograph in front of my eyes, but I recognize that it would be really helpful to have like kind of a blank surface to kind of project that onto, because I'd find myself like doing this zoning out thing that I do where my eyes kind of flicker back and forth. But if I was like looking at a piece of artwork on my wall, or if I was like doing it looking out my window and there was like people outside, I would find myself getting slightly distracted by it'd be like putting a projector movie, like a movie on a projector, instead of having it on a blank screen, having it like against a painting on your wall. Like that would be distracting. It'd be kind of hard to watch the movie because it's being projected over something that's not blank, right? And so I was like thinking to myself, like I literally like removed some of the paintings from my wall and I moved my stuff around in my office because I was like, I need a blank surface to like do this onto. And then and then I realized, and then I was like, it'd be kind of nice if it was like pretty though. Like it doesn't have to be blank. And I realized like, oh my God, that's why they have crystal balls. That's why psychics have crystal balls, is because it's like something I can project onto. The one I have specifically, I really liked because it's a smoky quartz, so it's not totally clear, which I like, and it has some like rainbow iridescence in it. So it's like fun for me to zone out into and project onto instead of just like a blank wall. Isn't that funny? I get to write off a crystal ball on my federal taxes this year. Isn't that fucking crazy? Yeah, so that's why psychics have crystal balls, by the way. Well, FYI for you. And yes, I do also hear them. Um, I hear that how I hear them is it's like how you hear your own thoughts, basically. They just sound like thoughts, but I recognize them as like I recognize them as like not mine, if that makes sense. Like sometimes that's you know what I was gonna say they're not in a different tone of voice, but that's not true. Sometimes some of my guides do have a different tone of voice, and I recognize it right away. Yeah, I actually got a new guide about a year and a couple of months ago, and I knew he was a new guide. One, because I I never I heard his voice. Like it was a voice that was different than my own thinking voice, and he was like standing above me. I didn't realize that he's very present in my life, okay? And kind of on and off since he's come in about a year and or so ago. But I was laying in my bed, like literally, like spread eagle, laying in my bed, and I didn't realize that my other guides were kind of milling around me, but I guess they were, just because I'm so used to them. I didn't really notice them. But as I'm laying there, I heard this guide say to my other guides, he was like, "How long has she been like this?" And they were like, "Yeah, dude, it's pretty bad." They were like, "Yeah, it's not fucking good." So yeah, that was like and I just am laying there like, oh dear God, what the hell does this mean? What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? So yeah, some of my guides have very specific voices like that I can differentiate from my own tone of voice, but a lot of them, it's like I just know it's like being interrupted by someone else talking is what it sounds like in there, which is kind of annoying sometimes. uh To throw iron over your shoulder? I think that the iron I was talking about with the protection, they keep showing me a stake, not like an edible stake, but yeah, kind of like a wand. Like I was talking about like a yeah, like I was talking about a selenite wand, so kind of like that. Yeah. Um, oh, a master protection agreement. Yeah, that's a good idea, by the way. I've been sleeping, talking about protecting ourselves, sleeping. I've been sleeping with I have a piece of obsidian. I could get up and go get it, but I don't think I will. It's about this big, and I literally sleep with it on my chest. Like I fall asleep with it right here. Um, and that helps me feel protected when I fall asleep because we are vulnerable when we're open, not always, but I think I'm open when I'm sleeping, and I have a lot of entities I've removed that I don't want to come leeching their way back into my life. And so, yeah, I sleep with this big piece of obsidian on my chest. And then sometimes I'll wake up and then, you know, the ADHD thing of like sleeping with like our hands under our head. I'll wake up because I fall asleep on my back, but I'll wake up usually on my side, and I'll wake up with it curled in my hands like a teddy bear Which is also my teddy bear from my childhood was stolen. It wasn't, it was in my car and my car was stolen. My teddy bear and my selenite wand. Anyway, so I don't have a teddy bear anymore. I just sleep with this piece of obsidian, which is hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Yes. Okay, so you may have been here when I answered this. Let's see. Nemachez. Yes, so for personal questions, like you're asking about karmic ties with you and your son, yeah, I can't do personal reads here because it's energetically pretty expensive for me, as in like intensive. Like it wipes me out. I have done group readings before. I did one group reading and it was 10 people. And by the end of that, I was like, I think I'm toast. Because I'd never done a group reading before. So I just went ahead and did 10 people at the same time. Romina was there. And I was like pretty fried. So yeah, this I can't do individual responses. But if you and I'm not trying to like plug myself right now, but because you're asking, you can book with me on my site. Site is in my bio. I could probably put it in the chat too if you would like that. Yeah, any of my one-to-one reads or even the async read, which is completely remote. Um, yeah, okay. I think that's what I have to say about that. Oh yeah. Okay, you're asking again, so hopefully I answered that. Uh, if you can't take care of an animal yourself, you can always pets it. Yeah, that's a really great point. Yeah, that's a really good solution to people that don't have the physical space or what have you for a permanent pet. That's a good point. Uh, okay, let's see. Yes, Romina, thank you. She's saying that she loved the group reading. Yeah, that one, it was I think I read you first actually, and it was because your dog came through. I still think about that same time sometimes because that was so specific what he had to say. And mind you, yeah, I had just learned that I could talk to animals like earlier that week or something. Yeah, a real Dr. Doolittle situation is what I keep saying. Okay, there's some questions about neuroticism. Um, Let me think of how to like, yeah, I might come back to that. Oh yeah, okay, great. How do we manifest a good job using our ancestors' help? Oh, that's a good question. If you thought a partner was a twin flame, but you're caught in a repetitive cycle, does that mean they're more of a karmic connection? I think that, good question. I think I'm just going to read all of these and then decide where they want me to go. Are there different types of guides? How do they choose who they show up to and how they show up? And then can anyone connect with their guides? Is there a way to strengthen our connection with our guides? Okay, yeah, so let's talk about guides, by the way. Yes, Romina's talking about her dog. Yes, a love-hate relationship. Yeah, you have a karmic relationship with your dog. Maybe not karmic, I'm just teasing. Okay. Can anyone connect with their guides? I'm going to talk about guides because there's more than a few questions about guides. Hold on. Okay, that was probably good. Yes, hard yes. Everybody can connect with their guides. Um, they're showing me that like I think I have to grab a blanket because I'm freezing my freaking face off. Um, I just want to say I'm really grateful that one, that you are all are here, and then two, so thank you for being here. And then two, I'm grateful that this live, it shows me when people join, but it doesn't show me when people leave. And honestly, I'm so grateful for that because I think that that would hurt my feelings. Even though I would try not to take it personally, I would it would be like a gut reaction basically. Okay. A way to strengthen relationship with our guides. How can anyone connect with their guides? Yeah, so they're showing me that it can be, it's like a veil. Yeah. So the answer is yes, that anybody can connect with their guides, but that the veil, there is like a separator, like a veil. But for some people, is it people or what is it? It seems like for some, it's more, it's thinner for some than others. They're saying touchy. They're also making the comparison though that for some people, they're actually interesting. They're telling me that not everybody is contracted to communicate with every one of their guides. They're making the comparison of like a butterfly's wing. I don't know if you know this, it may be a wives' tale, but there's something about like if you touch a butterfly's wing, then it can no longer fly and you've essentially killed it. So they're making the comparison that like some people's, yeah, that you're not contracted actually to be in communication with each of your guides. They're saying yeah, they're saying you can be connected to something without having direct communication. Um, and it's not a bad thing. It's like something about that, something about your life purpose, or yeah, they're saying the amount of like soul amnesia you like swallowed from the river of forgetfulness before coming to earth. They're saying like some people, yeah, you have a lot of soul amnesia, and that's not a bad thing, but that means that like you may not have contracted or have the capacity to communicate with some or certain of your guides. Not all, but certain, I think. Yeah, they're calling them master guides. Yeah, I guess there's like a couple of guides. I don't know if that's for everybody, but that like you, not everyone has direct communication with all of their guides. They're saying though that like we are all connected to our guides. And they're also making the point, though, that you may not feel like you're connected to your guides because they feel so much like you. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier in that story where I was like laying in my bed. I didn't realize I'm so used to my guides' energy that I don't really notice them most of the time because you're just used to them being around you all the time. It literally took a new guide coming in that I was like, oh, that's new. Like that's a different energy. That's new. That's a different energy source, basically. Whereas the other ones I'm like pretty used to. So you just don't notice them anymore. It's actually similar to with like people, um, like when a loved one passes. Yeah, when a loved one passes, sometimes, if not, it's very difficult during readings or ever for me to tell if somebody has passed on or if they're living because we never really, some people do, but oftentimes we never really leave each other's like energy circuitry. So, for instance, like my brother, I miss him because he's not in a 3D body, but I recognize that like I recognize that I've never actually been without him because he's never really left my energy space. So like I've gone to psychics that have picked up on his energy right away and I didn't know what they were talking about because I was like nobody in my life that's that. I just didn't know what they were talking about and it took me like a little while to recognize like oh they're talking about Derek even though he's passed on, they were reading it as like somebody's still living. But that's just because he's like so deeply in my energy space that he just feels so present. So it's like that with our guides too, whereas like it may be really difficult to differentiate them from they're saying that they're actually not very separate from you, that it's like a network. So you can't it may be very difficult to actually, yeah, okay. Well, so what are some ways that people can like individuate you guys, or do you care, or is there a purpose for that? Um, they're saying parts work, which I'm not totally sure what that is, but I think it's something about like I actually don't know. If someone knows, maybe put it in the chat because I'm not sure. I think it's something around this idea that we all have like different personalities or like aspects of our one personality. That didn't make sense. Yeah, they're showing me like different roles. So you have like an inner mother, an inner child, an inner father, like all these different like yeah, they're using all archetypes. Yeah, okay. All right. So they're saying like get in touch with your own archetypes because those are actually your guides. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I do have a suggestion for that because you're probably like, what the hell does that mean? How do I get in touch with my own archetypes? There's two different people I would recommend. I'll put them in the chat. Carl Jung is kind of the OG of archetypes. Um, it's also really helpful for shadow work to like recognize like some of the archetypes that you've banned from your energy space that are still pulling some of the strings in your life subconsciously. Carl Jung, and then there's this woman named Carol, I think her name's Carol Mice. Um, it's something close to that. You'll be able to find her. She has a really interesting book called Soul Contracts, where she helps you lay out and identify all of your she has like it's like a more modern version of the archetypes. It's pretty interesting. So yeah. Um Yeah, so that's one way to strengthen your relationship with your guide. They're saying also like just through spending time with yourself, because spending time by yourself, they're saying is spending time with your guides. It's just tricky to like figure out if they're saying that there's really no difference between us and our guides. That's interesting. I might have to sit on that for a while. Um, okay, I think let me see if there's more guide questions. Oh, internal family systems. Yes, exactly. I don't know what that is, but I know it's a thing. Yeah, very helpful, I'm sure. Um, I think that that was all the guide questions. Okay, I'm trying not to miss all of them, so let me go back up. Thank you for the hair compliment, and then for moving, this is for Colin's unit. Yeah, you may have to give me more context on moving. Yeah, if it's like general for the group, or if you could find a way to make it general, that'd be fine too. Um, Neuroticism and Akashic records. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. This makes sense. How do we manifest a good job using our ancestors' help? They're saying to be careful with using your ancestors' help, by the way, which makes sense because they're saying that like the consciousness of they're saying starseed. Huh. They're saying that many of our ancestors were of like a lower level of consciousness than you may be now. They're saying star seed. I'm trying to figure out why. Why are you saying that? They're basically, I think that they're saying that there's more star seeds on the planet now than ever. They're saying, yeah, which is interesting and feels a little bit optimistic to me, which is like why I was like, are you freaking sure? But that's what they're saying. Yeah, they're saying that there's more star seeds on the planet. They're saying that you, that's funny. They're saying you may be better off asking your neighbor for help than some of your ancestors because they're showing me that some of our ancestors were just like barely creeping along on the consciousness capacity, which makes sense. I've seen that before, not with like lineages, but in general, they're saying that there's some bright spots. And that as I've mentioned earlier, that just because someone has passed on to the other side, that doesn't mean that they suddenly have more wisdom or consciousness than they did on this side because they almost never do, by the way. Sometimes they have more insight, but it doesn't make them more wise. I actually have a really good example of this in my own life. I had a grandpa. I'm going to try to like talk about him and have him not come through and you'll see why. So I had a grandpa that passed on. He's on the other side. He's been on the other side for a couple years now. And Oh, that's crazy. He passed on, like, during my Saturn return, and I'm just realizing that I didn't know I was psychic or a medium back then, but they're showing me that I was talking to him, and I just didn't really realize it. So that's bizarre. Okay, so but since my gifts have turned on more and more, and I did recognize I could communicate with him, he kept coming in or trying to come into my space and would because he like and he was like this in the 3D where he just like felt like he knew better or could do better. He wanted to help me, but I didn't trust him in the 3D, so I don't trust him in the 5D. I just don't. And I'm not wrong for saying that because just because someone is on the other side does not mean like for instance, like I would never give him in his living life, I would never appoint him matchmaker in my life or something like that. Like I would never when he was living, I would have never given him a responsibility like something like that. And just because he's on the other side and can see the bigger picture, that doesn't make him any more discerning. And so I don't give him any responsibilities on the other side over my life or guidance over my life than I would have when he was living, which is basically none. And that really like annoyed him for a while. I think he's kind of come to terms with it. Yeah, interesting. I really don't communicate with him very much because of this. Um, yeah, so basically like just be mindful of like who you appoint. Yeah, who you appoint to do what, because just because they have access to more information doesn't mean that they're wise enough to use it more wisely than they did when they were here. Another example is my grandma on the other side. I love her. I do communicate with her and I do love her. She's actually tried to give me some specifically relationship advice, but like I don't take it from her because I'm like, I wouldn't have trusted her to give me that, and I wouldn't have trusted her judgment in the 3D when she was living, so I don't do it when she's on the other side. That actually super annoys her. It's okay. She has other things on the other side that I do trust her with, and so I will ask her for help with. Um, yeah, so just to like have discernment. If you wouldn't have trusted them to do it, yeah, and also they're saying get to know them because there's people in your lineage that just because they're in your lineage doesn't mean that you should like trust them. Yeah, they're saying try to get to know them first. They're showing me specifically like leave them offerings. Specifically, like you'll know whatever feels like intuitively right for you to do. Yeah, it could be like, yeah, that's funny. They're showing me and to call upon them by their name. They're saying to be specific and use there's like a real word of caution here because they're saying to be specific and like use their name or their specific image if you don't have a name. Like if you just have a picture of a ancestor, but you don't know their name. They're saying that that's fine, but to specifically call upon their name or their image, reason being yeah, so yeah. Reason being they're saying that like two-dimensional entities on the other side can essentially like use that as like scoot their way in and imposter, yeah, and like impersonate the person that you think you're communicating with, but they can't do that unless or there's less wiggle room for them to do that unless you call that loved one by their name or like I said, an image. Because otherwise they can literally come in and they're showing me that they're saying highly deceptive. My guides or spirit like is rarely very cautionary. So this is like why I keep repeating like have caution because they rarely not that they're happy go lucky, but they rarely like provide a lot of like caution pretty much ever. Yeah, so with this they're saying though, like be really careful because they're showing me that like two-dimensional entities can impersonate your ancestors and also do it convincingly. Like probably even give you information. It's like creeping me out actually, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's like they can even give you accurate information about that person or about your family or about your own life, but that doesn't mean that they're not. that doesn't mean that they are who they say they are. Yeah, so use a freaking shit ton of discernment is what I keep getting. I would not be so emphatic about this because I am not a very cautionary person, by the way. I wouldn't be very emphatic about this if, yeah, fucking be careful with that. God, I am like really surprised with how much caution they're showing me that entities can literally become incarnated into your family system if you trust them too much. If you trust them in the 2D, okay? Like if you trust them outside of the 3D, they can come into your lineage because they've impersonated one of your loved ones, your ancestors. It's more difficult with loved ones that you know directly, like my grandma or my grandpa specific, because you know their energy signature. But when it's an ancestor that you really don't know, they're saying to be very freaking careful about that. They're saying to guard your heart and to not listen to the serpent's tongue because again they're just showing me that these other entities can like lie about their identity and then they'll literally become born into your family system, and mind you that can take lifetimes. They're saying it only takes one lifetime, but that it can that I'm currently on a mission to figure out how to like unravel entity attachments from our DNA. So it's it's not something I know how to do, so just be careful before inviting that in. Okay, let me see if there's any comments on that. Yeah, is there a better way to call on our guides for help so that we can be sure we are not calling on false guides for help? Yeah, they're saying, they keep doing this, like cross your heart. They keep saying to guard your heart. So to basically like have discernment and to not just like, yeah, not just like eat up everything they say. Like just because I don't really think our guides get impersonated. Yeah, they're saying our guides don't really get impersonated. They're saying that if a guide, if you feel like if basically with a guide, like I said earlier, how like our guides will feel so similar to our own energy, we can't really tell a difference unless like in the instance I said where like we get a new one. Um, they're saying that like it's more difficult for entities to impersonate guides because they're of such a lower vibrational frequency than our guides. Whereas, like, if you've been a human, that's like a little bit closer to the 2D and the 3D are not that far apart. I mean, they are, but they're not really. Yeah. And so basically with our guides, like don't worry about that too much. But if you just start to feel they're showing me it would feel like a splinter that becomes infected. So like it's something lodged in your energy field that doesn't feel quite right. And then it will like you will automatically begin to like try to push it out subconsciously. Yeah. So if you ever feel like an aversion, they're saying listen to your body before you listen to your mind, which is honestly just great advice for everything, by the way. Yeah, because they're saying like like this spirit entity can like they're calling it like a snake charmer, like can say all the nice, good things that they want, but it doesn't necessarily, but pay attention to like how you feel when they say it and yeah, don't give that power away to anything or anybody. That's just good life advice. Okay, what if it's an ancestor we don't know, but they want to help us? Um, I guess I would just ask like, how do you know that they want to help? And did you call upon them? Yeah, they're saying to make sure that you are the one. Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So they're saying that you need to be the one to initiate contact with them. If you're getting communicated to, if you're getting contacted to from a spirit on the other side claiming to be XYZ, but you didn't ask for that support, I would be highly I would be very careful. I would, they keep doing this guarded thing. Yeah, they're saying like suit armor, like guard yourself because they're saying like basically like uh, our loved ones, our ancestors, our guides, they can't interfere with our free will. And part of that means that like we have to reach out to them and be like, fucking help. I need help. Will somebody help me? But like, it's kind of like until we do that, they're not just gonna break open the door and start offering unsolicited advice. Yeah, so just be careful, I guess, with yeah, make sure you're the one, initiating contact. Yeah, they're saying don't let the spirits love bomb you. That's so funny. They're saying it's not funny. They're like, "Misty, that's not fucking funny. Sorry." Okay. Okay. Yeah, it is creepy. So our guides don't necessarily mean they are meant to be, or like you say, trustworthy. No, our guides are trustworthy. I'm just saying that this was in the context of, like, calling upon your ancestors to help you. If you're not very specific about who you're calling on, other entities can, like, use that as a wedge to get into your energy space. Okay, okay, good. I'm glad that that was helpful, Rebecca. Okay, yeah, good. Glad that that is helpful. I know I'm skipping all over the place. I'm trying to, like, stick within a theme. Um, okay. I do wanna answer the Akashic record one too, but let me see. Romina says, "Can you ask for a specific loved one to chime through, or is it the loved ones that choose to come or not?" Oh, interesting. That's actually in alignment with this question. Well, both. I had to, like, reread your question. Both. Um, yeah, both. So you may already, because 'cause I've been talking about this for a little while now, but yeah, we could definitely ask them to come through, and then it's funny because, like, sometimes not really in my personal life, but sometimes during readings, like, a client will want a loved one to come through, and I'll pull them through, but they're kind of like, "Yeah, what? Like, what do you want?" Like, they don't necessarily want to be communicated with, and so sometimes they're just like, "Yeah, I'm here, but I'm actually gonna leave," and they'll literally just turn around and walk away, and, like, I can't make them sometimes I can make them stay. Like, some of my I do this in my personal life. I don't do this for clients because that feels like it's, like, meddling in their free will or something. I have definitely, like, kind of, like, stepped on the pants of some people in my personal life in the 50. I'm like, "No, I don't fucking think so. I called you in here, we're gonna fucking talk about this." Yeah, so you can stop them. I wouldn't recommend it. I only do it because 'cause I'm a real freaking brat about it, but like, loved ones, they can not wanna talk to us. It doesn't happen too often during readings, but it definitely happens, and then sometimes too during readings, like, people's loved ones come through that they don't really wanna talk to. They're like, "Yeah, I had a falling out with that loved one. I don't really like, it's fine that they're here, but I don't really have anything to say." But so sometimes they come through just because they're honestly, sometimes spirit is just excited to have a medium. They're excited to have a medium who can do this basically because they're calling it an open door. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be in communication with the first person that comes rushing forward, if that makes sense. Because sometimes the ones that come rushing forward are like they're not necessarily like the wisest person we had in our life or something. Yeah, I think that that answered your question. One other thing I'll say, and I should probably make, like, a video about this, is that sometimes actually every time, after we pass, there's something I call it stateside. I don't know why. Well, they call it stateside, so I've, like, started calling it that. But right after we die, we don't go I've never seen anyone go directly to the other side. We hang around. Pretty much everyone I've seen actually ends up attending their own funeral or memorial service or what have you. They're calling it the Black Parade. Like, we all like to stick around. They're saying we don't like to, but that it's something in our vibrational frequency that, like, we can't quite leave yet or something, or we choose not to, and then we kind of, like, float around and, like, visit our loved ones, and so this you may notice after you lose someone that you'll have a very vivid dream about them within a couple days of them passing or a week of them passing, or you may like really feel their energy when you're in there. I'm getting chills because it's because they're still around, okay? They're still around. This was actually the first contact I had with my brother on the other side, I think. The first time I can consciously remember was, like, 3 days after he passed. I actually don't think I could talk about it because I think I'm gonna cry, I can't talk about it, but and this I didn't know I was a medium, okay? Because I was, like, 21 years old, 20, and I had just lost my brother, and I remember it was, like, within 3 days of him passing, it felt like he was in the room, like, I could have reached out and touched him, and now that I have seen what I've seen and do what I do, that happens all the time. So when people come to sessions and they're like, "Yeah, my loved one, I felt like they were still around or they're still kicking around the house and they died like 10 days ago." It's like, yeah, they probably are. They literally are still they're still like yeah, they're still doing that. So yeah, you still may feel your loved ones after they pass. It's just because they're calling it stateside. They haven't left yet. Yeah, okay. Um I think I answered this question about how to connect with loved ones while conscious, or I guess I was talking about no, I did answer that. Basically to call on them by their name, but also be aware that it can be kind of it's not a bad thing if it's difficult to, like, hear them because, like I said, their energy is so you may not be able to tell the difference between their energy and your energy, and that's not a bad thing. They also keep showing me writing. So, yeah, writing and also like I said, spend time by yourself because they can only really get through to you in the quiet. They're saying noise canceling headphones again. That's funny. They like bringing that up. Uh, aphasia. I don't think I know what that is. Let's see. What would be the easiest way to try and open our spiritual gifts? I don't know. Contract for betrayal and heartbreak and a lot of death. Kidding, not kidding. I can't feel or sense energy at all, and I also have aphasia, so I can't visualize anything. Okay, I also have aphasia, by the way. I can't see anything when my eyes are closed. I have face blindness. I literally don't recognize people. I literally don't recognize people. Isn't that weird? I don't recognize people by their face. I don't know what anyone looks like. Yeah, it's very strange. And so, but I do have synesthesia, which is where when I close my eyes, I don't see objects, but I see like colors and not even really shapes. It's usually just like colors. I bring that up to say that you don't have to, yeah, you don't, it's not the same skill set. If anything, I wonder if there's like a correlation between things like face blindness or this aphasia and abilities because it might just like make room for the abilities. I'm not really sure. Easiest way to open your gifts. Okay, this is not very satisfying, but this is what they're giving me. Romina, I didn't know you had aphasia. Interesting. Do you guys also get lost everywhere? Because I don't have a map in my brain of where I am ever. So I just get lost all the time. I got lost this week. I literally got lost this week. And then I was on a bus and I yelled at the bus driver because he gave me the wrong information. And then he was talking to me like I was the idiot. Anyways, they're telling me the best way to it's not a satisfying answer, but they're saying to open your spiritual gifts is to get to they're saying know thyself. So spend some time again by yourself, get to know yourself and all the different parts of you. And they're showing me like being still, like be still and try to like project your consciousness um just outside of your body. Is that right? they're saying you have to go deeper in order to go out. So it's like, yeah, get in your body. Yeah, I noticed for me, yeah, somatic processing is really important. So, like, doing things where my body is engaged, that actually helps me, like, settle into my body, and then I start getting, like, more intuitive hits because I feel settled. So, yeah, doing something like that. Okay, y'all, I have been going for an hour longer than I anticipated, and I'm beginning to get a little bit mentally fried, unfortunately. How but I do wanna answer these, so what am I gonna do about that? I'm gonna copy and paste the chat, and then I'm gonna try to Hi, Vicky. You're just getting on as I'm getting off. I'm gonna copy this chat, and then I'll try to answer these in the next one. I am offering live reads during this. If you're interested in getting like a live read where I could answer individual questions, it'd be a short, it's like 15 to 20-minute read, and it is live streamed. So just be aware that it's, other people are watching it. Anyways, if you're interested in doing that, that is on my website. Oh, I was going to put my website in here for how to book. Um, Yeah, so you can but I will be doing like these live stream Q&As every first and third Thursday. Um I think in the future I'm gonna have a closed group of those like mini readings, so those won't be live streamed. So oh God, I am like so all over the place. This is why I need to stop, is because my brain is getting fried. Okay, so long story short, I am doing this every first and third Thursday of the month. And so these live Q&As, but there is also an option if you want to ask personal questions, you can do that by purchasing, I think I've set it as like, it's like 27 bucks to do that. And it's just like a mini, like 15, 20-minute long little reading. But it, like I said, it is live, so other people are watching it. So be aware of that. And then that is also an option as a membership if you want to be able to do that every first and third of the month. Yeah. Or you could just keep attending these Q&As because that's fun too. Yeah, I have to go because my brain is fried. So yeah, I reached my capacity. Thank you. Oh, and I am going to copy and paste this whole thing. Thank you, Romina. I still have I have an async reading I'm supposed to do tonight also, by the way. And I need to send out one more video for my Substack subscribers. So thank you for those also. Okay. Okay, thank you everybody. Oh yeah, post the book. Perfect. Should probably push send on that. Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. I love you. Bye.